Am I the a-hole for not giving my daughter her education fund money? I, 54 male, have 2 children, 23 female and 21 male, with my wife, 52 female. When the kids were young, my parents set up education funds for both of them, which was very generous of them. My wife and I always expected our kids to attend college and then graduate school as we have done. I have a PhD, my wife has a master's. Because of this, we decided not to use the funds for our kids' undergrad degrees and did not tell them about the money. My daughter has always been more into the liberal arts while my son is more of a STEM guy. My wife and I worried about her ability to find a job, but she insisted on studying music and film in college. She was accepted to some top schools and chose to attend a rather expensive one, but she had scholarships to cover almost all her tuition. Everything else, plus living expenses, was her responsibility. She lived in a very small apartment shared with friends in a not-so-nice area far from campus, but she was fine and learned how to budget effectively. After graduating, she luckily found a job that doesn't pay extremely well, but she enjoys, and scrapped the idea of grad school. My son decided to do engineering, and he also expressed that he had no interest in grad school. My wife and I were disappointed, but accepted it since at this point he is already set up with a very good job when he completes school. Since he did not receive as many scholarships as his sister, we decided to use his education fund to cover his tuition and living expenses. He was able to get a large and nice apartment of his own close to the school, which is important since his classes are so demanding and he needs a comfortable space to work. My daughter was confused and asked how he could afford this, and he told her about the education fund. She called us and asked why she didn't have one, and we told her she did, we just didn't use it because we hoped she would attend grad school. She seemed hurt by this and asked if there was any way she could have the money now. We explained that there would be a fee to simply withdraw the money for non-education uses, and if we chose to do that, it would belong to her grandparents so they could put it towards their own use. She's been quiet and short when answering our texts and hasn't answered our calls at all since then. I know that it seems unfair to her, but it's not really her money in the first place, and she's no longer in college. Plus, her brother only received it for educational purposes, and it wouldn't be right for her to just have it to spend now. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. I assume this would be the classic my kid didn't go to college and wants their college fund, but it isn't even. Neither child went to grad school, but you decided to give money to one but not the other. So it's not even about grad school like you pretended. You basically decided your daughter's goals didn't meet your approval, so you didn't give her the money that had been set aside for her. I think he also punished her for going into the arts. The son needed a nice comfy apartment because STEM is so demanding. You're the a-hole, OP. Massive you're the a-hole. I feel for your daughter. It would be super hurtful to hear that your parents could have helped you but chose not to. You're a PhD for sure, but not the educational type. And the worst part was that the daughter was punished for getting scholarships and had to live in a shit area with roommates while the son had a nice apartment of his own in a good area. Part of this is, I believe, judgment against her choice of going into the humanities as opposed to her brother who went into engineering, and the implication that his studies were more rigorous. The other part of this is their misogyny. They believe their son is more important than their daughter. You're the a-hole, and I'm surprised between your PhD and master's degrees you couldn't figure that out. Edit. Thank you everyone for all the awards. I'm glad we can all come together as a community to call out OP's a-hole behavior and mistreatment of his daughter. Update. I understand the consensus is that my wife and I are the a-holes. I texted my daughter to ask if she wanted us to withdraw the money for her / what she wanted to do. This was her response. I don't care. Maybe they can transfer it to other grandkid who is 5 if the fee is seriously too much. I don't know about grad school. I haven't thought about it much recently. If I do apply, it wouldn't be for another couple years, and I hadn't been counting on having any financial help in the first place, so it really doesn't even matter. Thanks for asking though. Update 2. My wife and I are discussing our daughter's response and our next actions to resolve this situation. For context, my wife has always had a strained relationship with my daughter and did not approve of many of her life choices. She believes we should take our daughter's words at face value and assume she no longer wants the money. From some of the responses here, I fear that my daughter's response was out of resentment, and I suggested taking out as much money as her brother was given so at least they received the same amount. She could use it responsibly towards rent, groceries, transportation, etc., or in some other way to further her career, so it would still be for educational purposes in a sense. My wife is standing firm in her opinion, and we will continue talking it through tomorrow. Many have asked about where my parents stand on this. At this point, they are not mentally aware enough to really participate in the discussion. They did know about our grad school stipulation and thought it was fine. They also knew that we took out some money for our son once we were certain he was not pursuing an advanced degree, and were fine with that as well. They said it was our decision as parents what to do with our daughter's fund, and they would support whatever we decided for her. It wouldn't be useful to ask them what to do with it now, but I have always said whatever is unused will go back to their care. I have tried to call my daughter with no luck, which is why I sent sent the text. Despite what many have said here, I hope this does not end our relationship. There are several reasons why the OP is the a-hole in this story. First and foremost, the OP and his wife made the decision to withhold information about their children's education funds and their intentions to use them only for graduate school. This was not communicated to their children, and their daughter in particular was not aware that she had a fund available to her. This was not fair to their children, as they were not given the opportunity to make informed decisions about their education and future plans. Secondly, the OP and his wife made a judgment about their daughter's chosen career path, assuming that she would not be able to find a job and would need the money for graduate school. This judgment was not based on any evidence, and it was unfair to impose their expectations and values on their daughter. She should have been allowed to make her own decisions about her education and career without the pressure of her parents' expectations. Thirdly, when the daughter discovered that her brother had been given access to his education fund but she had not, the parents refused to give her the money. They argued that it was not really her money and that she was no longer in college, and that her brother had received the money for educational purposes. This is a weak argument, as the daughter was not aware of the fund and therefore could not have made a decision about how to use it. Moreover, the OP and his wife had not communicated to their children that the education fund was contingent on their pursuing graduate school, and it was not fair to penalize their daughter for pursuing a different path. The OP is the a-hole in this situation for withholding information from his children, imposing his expectations on his daughter, and not taking responsibility for the communication breakdown in his relationship with her. His daughter expressed hurt and disappointment, and the OP did not acknowledge her feelings or apologize for not communicating with her about the education fund. However, it is good that the OP is making an effort to reconcile things with his daughter, as shown by his attempt to communicate with her about the situation. It is worth noting, however, that the OP's wife appears to be a problem in the story as well. She has a strained relationship with their daughter and did not approve of many of her life choices. Her influence and opinions may have contributed to the parents' decision to withhold information about the education fund from their daughter and to make judgments about her chosen career path. It is important for the OP and his wife to work through their own issues and biases in order to have a healthy and respectful relationship with their children. What do you guys think? Is the OP the a-hole or not the a-hole? Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more.